Hello everyone. In this video, I will be describing some of the fundamentals of Databricks administration. Hi, my name is Nnaemezue. I'm a senior Databricks architect at a top consulting firm. I have worked with Databricks for about more than 5 years, but I found that giving access and handling permissions in Databricks has been a bit more tricky, especially with the introduction of Unity Catalog. And we're gonna be talking about some of the fundamentals today and where you could at least get started so that when you are giving permissions, you are not just lost or confused. You actually have a clarity of where to go and what you're doing. So there are five main personas that I noticed that we can have as an administrator. So first you have your cloud admin, which is, for example, if you're in Azure, you have the admin as a cloud, either a contributor right or an owner of the Databricks Workspace. So that is something you need to be aware of. You need to be admin to be able to provision a Databricks Workspace in your client account. Secondly, there's the next level is Databricks account admin. So this account admin came about after the introduction of Unity Catalog, and this is for managing the Databricks account, managing the workspaces, creating a workspace, the user management for across all your workspaces. So this is what Databricks recommends, where we should do all our user management and access creation and assignment across workspaces. Then there is also another role called MetaStore admin. So when it comes to specifically the data side, the data objects that you have, like creating a, a catalog, creating a schema, these MetaStore admin, creating external tables, all these things are governed by people that have the MetaStore admin. You have full privilege in creating all these data objects within Unity Catalog. So having that is very important, and it's important to know that if you just have the account admin doesn't mean you have all the rights to manipulate or create objects within the catalogs. Right? You need to make sure you also give yourself this MetaStore admin. Fourthly, we have the marketplace admin, which is for administration when you are dealing with the Databricks marketplace. I haven't used this, so I won't talk much about this. Then finally, we have the workspace admin. So this workspace admin, ideally, this is if you're Databricks Academy, you should be the workspace admin as well across your workspaces. But again, some people, due to the your settings, maybe in development environment or development workspace, you might have want to have more admins versus a production workspace. So it could be different, but um, the database suggests you should really focus on these two roles, and I'll show you what I mean. So let's go to the demo. So first, like I said, when you provision your Databricks workspace, you should be giving yourself as an admin a, an owner role. And I'm using Azure because I'm the owner. I have the owner role. I can create, delete this workspace anytime I like. So make sure you have access at this at the cloud level. Then within the workspace, which I have here, so you notice that within the workspace, there are two things you have to note. First is the account administration and then the workspace administration. So let's first go for the account administration. So if I click here, I see the manage account. I can click the manage account and it's gonna open the account console, right? Again, this is the account console. And as you can see, first thing we see workspaces to see how we can set up our catalog, which is also our meta store, which is gonna govern all the workspaces. With you can have one meta store per region, so all the workspaces that are using the unique catalog or meta store within that region will use one meta store. So here I can do a lot of the access management from here, as you can see. And one of the things that you should be aware of is that this workspace, when you click the workspace administration from here, you could go to a particular workspace. You can enable it for Unity Catalog. You can, configure the workspace, assign a meta store to it, and that is one of the things you can do here. You can from here open the workspace and start looking into it. But one of the key things you should know is from this page, I can set up the permissions for that workspace. And I'll show you in a few minutes that we can do the same thing at the workspace level. And they are not exactly one-to-one. This is where it's a bit confusing because, and I understand why it's like this, because the Unity Catalog is an add-on to what the original architecture was when Databricks started many years ago. So, and they always want to maintain backward compatibility, right? So I had a little bit of confusion of why do we have to manage or have the ability to manage the workspace permissions in two places. But I understand is because of the backward compatibility. Maybe that might change later. But for now, it's good to know that you could add users here, you could add service principals and groups. You have either you could be a user or admin. So that is what you have here. And then what is this update the workspace is where you go to make changes to the workspace. And that's about it. Now, what else do we have apart from the workspace? So you could go to the user management to add the users. If you want to add users centrally and have them have access to more than one workspace, this is where you can do that. You can add service principals from here as well. Because if you don't add people here, chances are you kind of create a lot of disconnect across your workspace. Because Right now, it is possible to go ahead and add the service principals or users directly at the workspace level without adding it here, and it will not automatically show up in this place, but it's not encouraged. It's not encouraged. You should add it here, and then it will trickle down to the workspace. So it's very important to bear that in mind. And right now, we also, you might wonder, can you when you add a service principal at this account, yes, you may not have the ability to right now decide which workspace you want to assign the service principal to. That might not be possible right now, which I'm noticing. But the reality is you can do that at the workspace level, and this is a room for improvement for Databricks. Like eventually they might want to unify this access management just in one portal and to avoid all this confusion. So this is what I want to show at this as account console. You could do the manage the workspace level permissions, user management, and then you can obviously provision your meta stores that you can assign to various workspaces, all within this account console. So this is very important. Going back to now, let's go to one workspace, to the workspace level, open the workspace, and let's see what we can do in that. So in the workspace level, as you can see, I have different options. This is where what we are normally used to, where we normally work as developers. But as an admin, you have the ability to also manage permissions at this level. So you can click settings, and then you could see as a workspace admin, if you're account admin, you should try to also make sure you are the workspace admin. Like I told you, it may not be one to one because everything is not solely integrated. Just because you're account admin, if you didn't create this workspace, you may not be the workspace admin. You have to make sure that you give yourself that permission and see that it actually flow through. And as you can see here, when I click identity and access, this is where I can manage a lot of my permissions. I can see who is having access in my workspace. I can add a user. And normally, you see, like here, I need to, when I search for a user, whenever I search, these are things that appear at the from the when I is mostly users that are appearing after I've added them at the account level. So let's say I want to add an existing user and I have to add them at the account level. Let me see. Give me a second. Go to user management. Service principal. And if I add this person, no, it's not coming up. Maybe it's only allowing me to add only users, not Yeah, this one is only users, so you're only gonna see users. But if you want to add the service principals, you have to make sure that you can directly add it. As you can see, you can directly add it from here. But this is not advice. You can get it from your Azure and let it pass through. But this is not advice because you can do the same thing at the account level. But rather, the best practice is to what? Add it from the account console, add the service principal from the account console, and then it's gonna flow in. Like when you see this particular one, this service principal, I haven't added it to my workspace, and I can add it, and it's gonna get added. I can remove it if I want, and these are some of the things we have. You can do this permission. So a lot of things you can do, even managing the service principles, is good to make sure you understand this. Just because you created the service principal, you're a service principal manager, doesn't mean that you can use the service principal and, let's say, run a workflow or run a job. No, you have to also grant yourself service principal use it. And I talked about that in my last video. And this this is, when it comes to groups, is again the same concept. You can add a group that is flowing from your cloud account. I don't have the ability to do that for now because I need the premium subscription. But these are the main facets like that I found at least confusing, and I'm making this video to kind of help people clear some doubt. Oh, that why are you seeing it? Why are you able to see this account management in different places? Right? I'm trying to show you there is that it's possible to do it in both places, and what's the recommended approach. And it's also important to validate that it's one and the same. Like whatever you're doing in account console is reflecting the way you expect it within the workspace, right? Within the workspace administration. And going to, when it comes to the catalog, then this is all about when people have the MetaStore admin, when anybody that creates a table, making sure you are giving the right permissions to different objects. That is something that we actually can do from within the workspace. You could use the SQL to do this, grant permissions as well, and apply it to people that are within the workspace. As you can see, even service principals are gonna be available to be granted permissions to. So this place, once you have your workspace set up, where the identities of the different users and groups and service principals are already at the workspace level, you can easily start granting permissions of the various data objects to whoever needs to be added as an admin. And same goes to the actual notebooks. So you have to also be aware that if you are using repos or you're using the normal workspace notebooks, some of these notebooks have their own level of permissions as well, right? That you have to make sure that if you are having only admin, do you want to add all workspace users to it? Do you want to add a specific user? So these are things that an admin you should be aware that there are a lot of flexibility for you to add permissions at various levels. And then you can also use the cluster. At the cluster level, there's permissions as well. For who creates the cluster has permission, and admin also has permission to that cluster. But you can add additional users. Should all the workspace users see these clusters? That's something you can also do. And it's very fine grained. So I really give credit to Databricks. They made it very fine grained. There's so much you can control. But like I said, because I understand they have to do the backward compatibility, it's a bit difficult to centralize, like manage all these permissions and administration in a central place. So that's about it for this video. I hope you got some clarity. I hope you learned something, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.